episode 120 of Anime and Us. I'm TJ.
And I'm Shawn.
And this is the review show that reviews anime from A to Z. Sort of. New data true.
Alright, guys. Last episode.
Yes.
I did not spin a wheel. I picked Berserk for my end of the category.
Yeah, your pick. Your thing.
And I love Berserk. Anyway, Berserk is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Kentaro Miura, who passed away recently. And it's not done yet.
Yeah,
which kind of sucks. Now, it doesn't mean that it's dead. Almost all manga artists, illustrators, whatever you want to call them, they write like giant books, like actual books of information. And then as they're making their chapters, they use that as a reference. So I don't think it's Shonen Jump. I forget what magazine his is released in. But they said in the upcoming monthly issue, they're going to say what's going to happen to the manga. Or is it going to end? Did he have any plans to pass it on to someone? We'll find out soon. Anyway, we reviewed the 97 anime, not the 2016 anime, and not the 3 movies. The 97 anime is 25 episodes. It was by Oriental Light and Magic. Anyway, it covers the Golden Age story arc in the Guts, or in the Berserk manga, which is very extensive. The manga started in 89, and it has been releasing very steadily since then.
Okay.
So there's a lot to it. There's actually, I think there's 7 or 8 at the moment, gigantic books that are like 500 or 600 pages of the manga. So you can just buy the book, read it all, buy the next book, read it.
Huh.
Before we get into it, did you like it?
Well, before we get into that, why don't you just tell us what the premise is?
It is, Berserk is set in, what was it? European medieval times type, era. There's magic and stuff in it, but you don't really see that very often. And the premise is you're following a character named Guts, who eventually joins a mercenary group called the Band of the Hawk. The leader is Griffith, and you're pretty much following those 2 characters for the anime.
I liked it, but I have a lot of problems with it.
Okay. I love it, man. I loved it so much rewatching it that I actually started watching the 2016 anime. And the main reason why I hate the 2016 anime without watching it yet is because the animation's terrible. It's really shitty CG. It's not actual drawn anime, and it looks bad. They could have done it so much more justice, but it is what it is. Now, the 3 movies that came out are pretty much recapping the entire 97 anime. So at some point we'll watch those, whether I make you watch it or it comes up.
Right.
They're really well done. They're CG as well, but, it's movie budget, like we were just talking in Lupin. Much more well done than the 2016 anime. And they're really good. Think of it like Fullmetal Alchemist and then Brotherhood. Brotherhood's objectively the better of the 2. But if you watch the first Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood's better now because you have more.
You understand a lot more because
there's more depth.
They fill in gaps in Brotherhood that were missing in Alchemist,
and it's just it's more well put together, and it's very much the same with the 97 anime and then the 3 movies.
Oh, I know. I had to reference the movie for something. We'll get to it.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Well, my biggest problem with this anime is the first episode.
When he's in
where we start in the future.
Yeah, and apparently the manga does that too.
It takes all the tension out of the anime.
I think it does as well. I read some reviews on it, and some people feel differently. The argument against that is, what's going to happen. You know that Guts has some sort of relationship with this guy named Griffith, and he needs to find him. And Griffith is a bad guy.
Yep. So
now you can watch the anime knowing Griffith is the bad guy, wanting to watch the character. Watch, what's going to motivate him to go turn evil, because he's not evil yet.
And that's all fine and well if you've already seen the anime.
Well, right? But the argument is that you don't have to watch it twice now. You can just watch it once, and you get to watch feel because of that.
But
that's the argument. I don't necessarily agree with it.
But the anime builds up this mystery behind this egg and everything else, so much behind what's going on, that it kind of takes out all the tension for Griffith and whether or not he can, overcome this, or maybe it is, because we know where he ends up.
Yeah, I think it's more the mystery of his motivation, what's going to make him do that. People like.
Which I felt was rushed because they did it in the last 3 episodes.
Really? Like, really?
That's another problem I have with this show. It's super slow.
It's very slow for the first half. The second half isn't so bad.
And my other problem with the first episode is the whole show is basically a history about war and fighting soldiers and stuff. But we know Guts is gonna live. Anytime they put him into any kind of danger, it's like, well, there's no tension here.
That's true, but that's also true with 99.9% of stories out there. Very few stories of the main characters dying.
Yeah, but you don't know that he's gonna die because you've already had a glimpse into the future.
I get that, but
and
like I said, that's 99% of
for
stories.
as much murder as in the show, none of the main characters die until the last episode.
Yeah.
Everyone has plot armor.
Well, yeah.
So, it's like there is no tension to the battles. It's like, oh, well, I think
it's more character building for the final moment.
And that's the whole problem. This whole series feels like it's a setup for a rest of an anime.
Yes. Yeah, I think they were probably wanting to do more, and it didn't happen. But, like I said, although this has issues, you get all the flavor, you learn all the characters and everything, and then if you watch the movies, it's much more concise, it's much more of a tight story.
Don't get me wrong. The story they told was excellent. It was a well-written show, and I was invested in the characters and everything like that. But...
Well, it's very slow, and it's drawn out, 100%.
Right, but this, like, the supernatural elements in the very few times it showed up in the show and during the war period felt so out of place because I felt like I was just watching, like, a historical war thing because it's just battles and taking over castles and strategy and stuff like that.
And then, bam, there's a demon.
Yeah, there's a demon. It's like, why is this demon here? And I get it because I know it goes super dark fantasy and stuff in the future, but in this animated, which is just as a standalone now...
Yeah, see, that's kind of the issue. So, like, I'm tempted to review it as a whole, which you really can't do. You gotta review it as just the anime. So, like, as a whole, we were talking earlier about how they do the foreshadowing with the first episode. Well, as a whole, it's not a big deal because the Golden Age arc is fairly tiny compared to all of the manga and, the lore that's in Berserk. But as just for the 97 anime, 100%.
Right, and because we don't get to know that Guts
exactly.
or any of those things. And then the anime ends just out of nowhere. The bad guys win. We don't find out anything that happens to any of the other characters. I mean, we know they're dead.
Everyone's dead. You don't see Casca die.
Yeah, we don't see
and
Casca.
You don't see Berserk or Guts die.
You don't see, I don't know, they show Guts at the end credits.
Yeah, you actually see him live.
But you don't know what happened to Casca, and it's just like you just end there.
It's crazy what happens.
I watched the very end of the last movie just to freaking find out what happened because I was so pissed. I was like, oh, okay, that's what happened. All right. And so I've got that filled in. I didn't watch anything else.
What I'm saying. The movies are way better. But now that you've seen this and then you watch the movies, I feel like it'll be a better experience for the movies.
I don't know. I just, like I said, I was invested in the story. It's just, there was a lot of colliding issues I had with it. And the choices they made to tell the story, it took a lot out of it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. It's older. It's not, you can't really wave the wand saying that and saying it fixes things, but it's a little older.
And speaking of it older, 97, the animation isn't that great for 97.
It isn't. It's actually fairly bad, to be honest. Yeah. Now, by animation, I think we're both talking about the characters moving around on screen, talking, fighting. However, the detail in the art is pretty good, especially when he's in full armor. It looks great.
Right, that's why I said animation.
I know, I'm just letting them know.
Yeah, but yeah, like, there is a lot to this show. But it's also predictable a lot of the time, too.
Yeah, it's fairly predictable.
So, and I don't know if it's just because...
I think it's also the Golden Age arc. You know what's going to happen at the end.
Well, not only that, I knew that it was going to end up Guts and Casca. I knew it wasn't going to work out with Griffith, with her and Griffith, and I knew, like... After, like, the second battle, I knew none of the characters that had names were going to die.
You know what's funny, though? I think if you were to watch this 97 anime without the first episode showing you that Griffith is evil and all that, I think you would probably come to the same conclusion that, like, Casca and Griffith isn't going to work out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think just watching it and seeing Griffith's character and how he's just very, not dismissive, but, like, he just doesn't care about people.
Right.
I think they should show that fairly well.
Now, you read the manga, right?
No.
No?
I've read pieces of it. I'm going to buy the books now.
Okay.
It reignited my flame.
I'm curious if in the manga, if Griffith's fall, so to speak, is as rushed as it is in this.
I don't think it is, but it's a good question.
Because
I think what was happening, this is just me assuming, that they were getting to the end of the anime, and they had to finish the Golden Age arc somehow. You know, they had to finish the story arc. They weren't cleared for another 25 episodes, 12 episodes or whatever.
Okay, but they were building up Griffith as rising up through the ranks of this thing. And it was rising up, and him and the princess had a thing. Everybody could see it.
Yeah, they definitely had a thing, and then he kind of forced himself on her just a little, but she wanted it.
Yeah, at first it felt like he was going for it, but then it was like consensual, but then they're seen together, but yet that's enough to get Griffith arrested and then tortured.
Well, I mean, you're talking about kingdoms and propriety. You know what I mean? Like, you had sex with the princess to this kingdom, the heir to the kingdom, without being married to her. Yeah.
Fair. That's fair. But he's also the strongest military leader in the country now.
I think there is, especially among the court nobles, and I think they did a fairly good job of portraying that. None of them trusted him. They all felt threatened by him.
Yeah, but the ones that didn't...
So when they had a reason to capture him, they held on to it.
But at the same time, all those ones that they showed to trust him, he burned alive in a castle.
Yeah. Well, not all of them. The one guy lived.
Only the one?
Yeah, well, that's all that mattered. He made a mistake.
Well, and also his motivation was kind of stupid, too.
For what?
Griffith sleeping with the princess and throwing away everything just because Guts decided to leave?
Well, I mean... Sleeping with the princess would have been fine. I'm sure that would have been on his lists at some point. You know what I mean? He's got to lock it in.
But he's smarter than that.
He is smarter than that, but, so...
You would think he would have just...
He is a lot smarter than that, but what upsets him?
Well, the
one person he respects.
Yeah, well, but the funny thing is, he's the reason why Guts leaves anyway, because he's the one that says he doesn't respect Guts.
Well, he doesn't say he doesn't respect Guts. He says, if I'm gonna respect someone, then this is the qualities they would need to have.
And
Guts overhears that.
Yeah.
And goes, oh, I need, if I want to be on equal footing with him, I need to work on myself.
Which is a contrivance in of itself that he just happens to overhear this whole conversation.
But I mean, that's stories in general.
But the reason, and I get Guts not wanting to be there anymore. It kind of made sense. But then Griffith falling apart because of him leaving
I don't think he fell apart. I think he made a mistake or two.
Well, he pushed something that he didn't need to push at the moment because he was feeling sad.
Yeah, I think that's the mistake he made. He wanted to feel something.
But the character we have seen up to this point wouldn't have made that mistake.
True, but up until that point, he's never been hurt before, right? He's in that moment, he's finding out that he actually had respect for Guts, and then Guts is rejecting him.
I don't know. I just didn't like the way they rushed. I didn't like the way they rushed.
Well, they were rushing it for sure. They were getting towards the end of whatever their deadline was.
Right, and you have these demons show up in the last episode and then kill everybody, and then have Griffith rape Casca, and it's like,
well, not Griffith, Phantom.
Whatever.
He was reborn as a demon.
He's Griffith.
But yeah, he was raping her. That was something.
Yes,
and Guts was forced to watch.
And he cut off his own arm, and
then held down the watch.
Right,
even
it gets really, really dark in that last episode, just out of nowhere.
I mean, we knew it was building up to something evil, something dark.
Yeah,
we know Guts is alone,
but the show spent so much time spinning its wheels. It's like this came out of nowhere.
In the manga, Casca's alive,
right? I know she's alive, but apparently she's insane or something. According to the movie.
I don't know all the details, but I know she has a kid.
Oh.
And I think, I'm not 100% sure, either other characters are alive that aren't supposed to be, that we saw die in the anime, or you remember Ricket dying? It was off screen, but the demon was coming after him.
Yeah.
I know that's shown pretty clearly in the manga.
Well, I know he's alive at the end of the movie.
Well, whenever he dies in the manga. I don't know when that is. But I know that he dies at a certain point, and it's very, vividly clear.
Well, they show in the anime that he gets killed in the forest by the demons when they first show up. But in the movie...
Sort of. They show the demon coming after him, and it fades to black.
So you just assume he's dead. Because everyone else is dead. And then, like I said, I only watched the last 5 minutes of the movie, but Ricket is there. So I guess he survived that.
Probably. But, the movie and the anime, they're taking different turns.
Yeah,
I think what happened is in the manga, he didn't die. So in the movies, they didn't have him die. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Because the movies are just remade of the same story arc.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It was okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I loved it. I know it's got flaws, but it's still highly ranked for me. I love Guts. I love anything with a big sword.
Yeah.
And, by the way, if you didn't know, the Dark Souls games were inspired by Berserk.
Yeah, a lot of things probably were inspired by Berserk, honestly. It's like one of the earliest dark fantasies.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of anime and other shows probably took a lot of inspiration from
Probably
this.
anything with a big sword.
Yeah, any dark anime, really, essentially, that what focuses on storyteller and character development, at the very least.
A little bit of nudity in it. We usually touch base on that when we see it.
Yeah, it was
nothing grotesque.
The problem, I was going to say the problem, it's not a problem. It's just, it was...
The rape scene, I guess, was a bit much. Rape in general was a bit much.
Yeah, but that's what they were...
But it wasn't terrible. Like, it was like, okay, that's happening, but it wasn't like with Violence Jack, where it's like, what's happening?
Yeah, no, it was... They were going for disturbing. Like, all the nudity in this made sense, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's a dark adult fantasy.
There was a fairly good reason for the characters to be naked at the times
at
that they were
certain
naked.
points. I mean, there's some contrived moments where, she has to get naked, this lie on
to
top
warm his blood.
To warm his blood.
Yeah,
but there's some contrivances in there, of course, but it is what it is.
It wasn't out of hand where, like, he was like, oh my god, you're naked, my hand's on your boob. You know what I mean? It wasn't typical anime.
He was unconscious the entire time.
Well, he could have woken up and done something. You know what I mean? They could have done it if they wanted to.
They could have, but they didn't. Yeah, that's why I said the nudity was like a non-factor. It was just a part of the show at that point. It didn't spark a mention in my mind that I needed to comment on the nudity, like, and the other animes that we watch.
There's a little more story here and there, like Guts being raped.
You said that to me, but
it's not really shown very well, but it's definitely what happened. So it's hard for an anime-only viewer to realize that he was raped, but yes, Guts. So there's a scene where Guts kills the man that is teaching him how to use the sword. He's the leader of a band of mercenaries.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if he was the leader. I think he was just...
Well, I know he was the leader. They might not mention it in the anime. But he was the leader. So the guy was the leader, he got injured, and then, he's drunk, and he's raped the Guts a bunch of times, and you don't really know that from the anime because they didn't show that part.
No.
But he wants to fight Guts because he thinks it's his fault, because he's drunk and, a terrible person, and Guts kills him.
Yeah, and then the rest of the mercenary band chases him.
There's a moment where he even apologizes to him, which is really f***ed up.
Yeah.
But Guts, for the most part, is a fairly emotional, balanced person, unless he's fighting. Once he starts fighting, he gets in this, like, berserk type rage and just wants to continue fighting.
Yeah, he's a weird character.
If he sees a moment where he can fight instead of run away, he's gonna fight.
They try to portray him as a calm guy, but he's not, you know? So it's kind of weird how they try to portray him. I guess it was all part of him growing up, too. Yeah. Was a lot of it, too. So it made sense. I didn't have a problem with the writing as far as building the characters. I just had the problem with the writing as far as structure and where they put things and rushing things.
That's true. Yeah, that's fair. I really like Casca's little plot line, especially towards the end when she starts to realize that Griffith isn't the one for her.
Right.
Because, he doesn't think of her at all.
Right. I did have one problem with her storyline, is when she had her period or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a thing for women. Especially in a very physical combat where you're physically fighting with your hands.
Right, but does it cause fevers and causing people to black out?
Normally, I would say no, right? Because obviously that's not a thing for the typical woman. However, you're not being pushed for weeks on end on horseback and physically fighting.
I guess that's...
Maybe then.
I guess that's fair, but that's a reach. And I don't know enough about the women chemistry to know what
I think it's possible to happen. I don't think it's typical,
I suppose, but it felt like a contrived way to make her hands on in distress.
Yeah, a bit. A little bit. I don't think it was that contrived, but maybe a little bit. Maybe a little.
And they needed her in danger so Guts could save her.
Yeah. And to give him some alone time. And give him the reason for him to be alone for killing 100 men.
Yeah, while she was chased by 3 and almost beaten by 3 when she's supposed to be this great warrior.
Well, she was feverish.
I know, but that's a bullshit excuse in my... I didn't like that part.
You saw her fighting fine later on.
Right.
I liked her story, her, deciding and discovering her feelings for Guts. I liked Guts' story in figuring out he didn't just want to kill things. He wanted her by his side, too.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, their romance is pretty good. Even if I saw it from, episode 3.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, main character, pretty girl.
Right, but it also took a long time for it to happen.
It did. It took 22 episodes.
Long time.
Yeah, a very long time. All right. You want to give your score? I'm going to give mine. It's an 8. I know it's objectively, it's probably a 6 or a 7.
I was going...
But I'm an 8.
I'm going 6.
I love it. And I love it even more because it's nostalgia. Rewatch it was great.
I think the show would get a higher rating from me if there was more of it, if I knew where the story was going, because this really just...
We do know where it's going. Watch the first episode.
No, what I mean is past even that.
Yeah.
This felt like the first chapter of a larger story, which apparently it is. And I think it would probably get a higher score if they landed the story.
Well, the 2016 anime picks up right after where this ends.
That's interesting.
So, if you really want to watch it, continue it there. I'll probably watch a few episodes here and there.
We'll get to it eventually.
All right. Guess we don't have to rank it with anything else, do we?
We can rank it against the things you picked before.
What did I pick?
What are we on? The 4th season? It was My Hero Academia. It was some stupid Gundam.
Gundam 00.
And there was a third one. I don't remember.
Oh, it was a D&D one, wasn't it?
It was a D&D one. I don't remember which one.
Was it
Goblin Slayer.
Goblin Slayer? Or was it Grimgar?
No, it was Goblin Slayer.
Have you seen Grimgar
No.
Fantasy Universe? That's a good one.
It was Goblin. It's been Goblin Slayer, My Hero Academia, this, and 00.
Berserk, My Hero, Goblin Slayer, 00. Although, I like them all, but if I had to rewatch another one, I'd probably want to rewatch Berserk.
Yeah, no, I actually think I think Berserk's third for me.
Yeah?
I think it's My Hero, Goblin Slayer, Berserk, and then 00 because it's a Gundam, and my feelings on Gundams.
What are we,
We're gonna finish Korra.
Oh, right.
We're gonna do Season 3 and Season 4, which I think equals to about 25 episodes.
Oh, that's fair. Alright, guys, next episode.
We're gonna finish Korra.
Finishing Korra.
Bye.
See you guys.